Before he passed, Labongo made one final request. "When I am gone," he told his sons, "remember that the bond of family is the most important thing. No matter what happens, find a way to forgive." After the deaths of Gipir and Labongo, their descendants continued to grow and spread across the lands. The story of the brothers became a powerful lesson in the importance of forgiveness and reconciliation. Elders in both the Alur and Luo clans would gather their children and tell them the tale, not just as a piece of history, but as a reminder of the values that should guide their lives. The descendants of Gipir and Labongo often came together at Wangle to honor their shared ancestry. The rituals performed at the sacred site helped to maintain peace between the clans and reinforce the lessons of their forefathers. Though the brothers had never reconciled in life, their descendants carried forward a legacy of forgiveness, unity, and respect for the bonds of family. In the generations following Labongo's passing, his descendants, now known as the Luo, began to expand their influence across the eastern regions. They migrated further into modern-day Kenya and Uganda, establishing themselves as one of the most prominent ethnic groups in the area. Their language, customs, and way of life became deeply rooted in the lands they inhabited. The Luo were known for their strong leadership and their ability to adapt to different environments. As the Luo expanded, they developed sophisticated systems of governance. Each clan had a leader, but there was always a connection to the wisdom passed down from Labongo. The stories of the past were not forgotten, and the lessons of humility, justice, and forgiveness continued to be taught to each generation. The memory of Labongo's daughter and the sacrifice made was particularly poignant among the Luo, reminding them of the fragile balance between power and family. The Luo were also skilled warriors and farmers. They knew how to defend their lands and grow their communities through alliances with other neighboring groups. The expansion of the Luo people contributed to the spread of their culture and influence, which continued to grow for centuries. However, even in their rise, the elders reminded their young ones of the story of Labongo and Gipir, ensuring that the values of compassion and reconciliation remained at the heart of their identity. Meanwhile, the Alur, descendants of Gipir, established their own stronghold in the west of the Nile. Living in what is now parts of northern Uganda and the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, the Alur also rose to prominence. Their culture thrived, and their lands, rich in resources, became a center of trade and power. Gipir's legacy of endurance was deeply embedded in the Alur people. Just as he had survived against overwhelming odds in the forest, his descendants carried a reputation for resilience and strength. They were known as skilled craftsmen and hunters, with deep knowledge of the natural world that surrounded them. The Alur maintained their connection to the river, which provided them with not just sustenance, but also spiritual significance. Though Gipir had passed long ago, his story of survival against the wilderness and his encounter with the old medicine woman became a cherished legend. His people saw themselves in his story, always striving to overcome challenges and protect their community. Both the Alur and Luo peoples shared a connection that could never be fully broken. The land between them was vast, but the shared history of their ancestors remained a bridge between their identities, even as they grew into distinct and powerful tribes. Generations passed, and the descendants of Gipir and Labongo continued to thrive in their respective regions. However, as the clans grew, so did their sense of curiosity about one another. Over time, the younger generations began to wonder about the stories they had been told about Wangle, the place where the brothers had parted ways. The site remained sacred, but few had visited it in recent years. The elders still spoke of it, but there had been no major gatherings at the location in decades. One day, a group of young leaders from both the Luo and Alua clans decided it was time to make a pilgrimage to Wangle. They believed it was their duty to honor their ancestors by re-establishing the connection between the two peoples. The idea of reuniting the descendants of Gipir and Labongo began to take shape, driven by a desire to renew the bond that had been severed long ago. The journey to Wangle was long and arduous, but the young leaders were determined. They traveled through forests, over rivers, and across plains to reach the sacred site. Along the way, they shared stories of their ancestors, strengthening the sense of unity that had been lost. When they finally arrived at Wangle, they were struck by the solemn beauty of the place. The river rushed by, just as it had when Gipir and Labongo had last stood together. The axe that had been buried still marked the spot where the brothers had made their final decision. The group gathered around the site, offering prayers and sacrifices to honor the spirits of their ancestors. But would this be the moment their bond was truly restored? If you were in their place, how would you honor their legacy? Share your thoughts in the comments below as we wait for the next part